This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
This is definitely a historic choice by Governor Kathy Hochul.
I want to see people sitting in jail, paying big fines, getting on the do not fly list. Once that word gets out, things will change.
I just said, not today, not today, not today. I have to keep on going.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. The race is on. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has picked a running mate in her re-election bid. Adrienne Adams is her name.
This is a big move by Governor Kathy Hochul.
She is a former New York City Council speaker, but could be the next lieutenant governor. She lost a bid for New York City mayor and is not strongly supportive of current mayor Zohran Mamdani. Fox 5 in New York City says Adams is a good hand of cards for the governor.
This is definitely a historic choice by Governor Kathy Hochul. New York State history has never had two women on a ticket before.
Hochul's current lieutenant governor, Antonio Delgado, is challenging her in the June Democratic primary. Things heat up Friday at the Democratic State Convention in Syracuse. Now to Minnesota. 700 immigration agents will be withdrawn from Minneapolis immediately, but 2,000 will remain. So says Border Czar Tom Homan, who commanded a press conference today, his second since flying in to tone things down in the Twin Cities between protesters and ICE. He warned residents protests are impeding the arrests of criminal illegal aliens.
Do you really think you can stop ICE from doing the job? It's a joke. Only people you're hurting is your own community who wants to go and get groceries, pick up the dry cleaning, or go to work, whatever. You're just hindering them. Stop. He was asked why innocent bystanders are getting arrested.
We've talked to people who say they're protesting not the arrests of people with criminal backgrounds, but things like broad ICE patrols, random citizenship checks of people.
We're doing targeted enforcement operation. When we leave this building, we know who we're looking for, where we're most likely to find them, what their criminal record is. But when we go to arrest that criminal target, if we find an illegal alien there, they're coming.
Apparently, some of those protesters are still showing up inside the same Minnesota sanctuary where 9 people were arrested, including journalist Don Lemon. A member of City's Church says those protesters are there every Sunday.
I would imagine that next Sunday, there's going to be a very similar presence. I don't know when it's going to end.
He says worship there is tense.
The safety and the peace and the joy that we were feeling in the church in our worship of Jesus Christ, going out and seeing people who are like spewing hatred towards us, it made me feel sad for them.
Former U.S. Congressman Jason Chaffetz.
These are supposed to be sanctuaries. Talk about sanctuaries. These are the true sanctuaries where people should be able to practice their religion and worship in peace.
He says peace won't happen until Minnesota upholds their own laws.
They got to prosecute them. I don't see the prosecutions happening. I want to see people sitting in jail, paying big fines, getting on the do not fly list. Once that word gets out, things will change.
It's life in prison for Ryan Ruth, the man who tried to assassinate Donald Trump at a Florida golf course. CBS reporter Michael Wallace.
Trump was golfing at his West Palm Beach club in September of 2024 when a Secret Service agent spotted Ryan Ruth aiming a rifle through a bush. The agent opened fire. Ruth never got a shot off. He dropped his rifle and ran. Prosecutors had suggested life without parole, saying Ruth is unrepentant and has never apologized.
President Trump has signed the measure that cleared Congress yesterday to end the partial government shutdown.
It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members, and makes historic investments in the American shipbuilding industry, which is great.
A final funding bill still to be worked out covers the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats are demanding restrictions on ICE. Still no break in the case of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie.
Investigators confirmed that DNA evidence was found inside that house. They are right now testing that at a state lab. They don't know who the suspect is. They don't have a person of interest. There have been no one who has been arrested.
The 84-year-old has been been missing since Saturday. We were given an update on Ukraine today from Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
If you look at the checklist of open items that existed at this time last year and the checklist of open items that remain now in terms of reaching a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, that list has been substantially diminished. That's the good news. The bad news is that the items that remain are the most difficult ones. And meanwhile, the war continues.
It has been well over a week, and 30,000 people in Mississippi are still without power from the two-punch of the last two storms. Sarah Brooke Bishop is with Northeast Mississippi Electric Power Association.
Our crews are having to cut their way into some neighborhoods and some county roads to even be able to work on the power.
Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, recess for our high schoolers. The race for New York governor ramps up, and Kathy Hochul has some trouble with kids at a daycare today. Those stories after weather.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Quite cold across central and eastern Pennsylvania, partly cloudy. Mostly cloudy elsewhere with flurries and some lake effect snow with light accumulations on the south shore of Lake Ontario. Low temperatures tonight 0 to 10 above, high temperatures tomorrow 20s. Friday mostly cloudy or becoming so with flurries arriving, highs in the 20s and near 30. A snow squall late Friday night, then atrociously cold air arrives for the upcoming weekend.
All right, Kevin checking the stories where you live in New York and Pennsylvania. A new bill in the Keystone State would require recess for high school students. The bill, proposed by Democratic Representative Danielle Friel-Otten, would require PA schools to provide 30 minutes of recess and 30 minutes of lunch for all students grades K through 12. She says even at 17 and 18 years old, teens who have recess show improved memory and concentration skills. We told you earlier that Governor Kathy Hochul has picked former New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams to be her running mate. Her current Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado, is running against his boss, and he just picked his running mate. It's a bit of political history for Delgado, too. Our own Mark Webster lays it out.
Yeah, Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado has named India Walton as his running mate for his uphill primary battle against incumbent Governor Kathy Hochul. If they beat the odds, Delgado and Walton would become the first all-black governor-lieutenant governor pairing in New York State history. Walton gained national notoriety in 2021 after her primary victory over Byron Brown, in which Walton ran as a Democratic socialist. She later lost to Brown's write-in campaign, but has been busy since as an activist for progressive issues. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Kathy Hochul was upstate today in central New York. She held a press conference on child care and, ironically, got interrupted by children.
We're never going to stop fighting for the families. Some little ones I can hear in the distance who are screaming a little bit, but that shows that they're active, they're alive, they're engaged.
The governor visiting a child care center at SUNY Broome to highlight a new program aimed at expanding access to affordable child care for kids from birth to age 3.
To make this major announcement for Broome County that will be working closely to be part of a pilot to unveil a statewide program to make sure that every child, every family will have access to affordable child care.
Broome and 2 other counties across the state, Dutchess and Monroe, have been picked to be pilot counties to test out Hochul's new program. Stuck in the air, crews are still working to free people inside gondolas at Gore Mountain in Warren County, New York. 67 people were stuck in the air as of 10:30 this morning, though they've been unloading those gondolas one by one. It was due to a mechanical alignment issue involving the lift system at the ski resort. Those gondolas climbed 1,700 vertical feet up a mountain face. No injuries were reported. Pennsylvania is still recovering from the storm last month. Snow removal is ongoing in many areas. Johnstown Public Works Director Carmen Triskello tells WJAC all his crews can do is keep plugging away.
It's going to be a little bit of time to get all that snow removed because there is a lot. Then we have some on the bridges that we have to remove. We're going over for a second pass with snow blowers and blowing it off into the curb there to open up a wider path.
Pennsylvania logged the most snow in the country 2 storms ago on January 26th. And Wegmans is no longer king of the hill. That distinction now belongs to Trader Joe's, at least in the latest ACSI rating. In fact, Wegmans slipped to 4th place on that list, edged out by Sam's Club and Aldi. University of Buffalo Assistant Finance Professor Scott Lang tells WGRZ he isn't all that surprised.
Customers care more about value proposition. They want to go further with their money than they do in traditional supermarkets.
Customers irritated by Wegmans store layout and checkout speed. Next at 5, Real Answers with Chris Anderson and our own Mark Webster. The topic today, staying in touch with your adult kids. Let's listen in.
I'm a father of a couple of adult kids, though they're not married yet, but I still know firsthand the pain of children not making time to at least stay in touch. And you can argue about how much is enough and whether texts and calls are enough, but the bottom line is just keeping the lines of communication open.
And absolutely. And again, this is not a cookie cutter approach by any stretch of the imagination, because we know that people have different levels of and different qualities of relationship with their parents. But it is something that really needs to be addressed. And the Bible does make it clear, of course, we are to go off to leave our families to cleave to our spouse and to then form a life of our own. However, just ask the question point blank, what does a healthy adult child and parent relationship look like after a marriage has occurred with the child to their spouse? There's some really important things to remember here. For example, parents and children that, let's say, they've engaged in activities for a very long time together, whether it's something as basic as Sundays in front of the television watching. All right, we got to think here. Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, to throw in the Philadelphia Eagles there too.
Yeah.
All right, even a sliver of Eastern Ohio with the Cleveland Browns. But the reality is, Sunday afternoons watching football with dad, or let's say doing outdoor activities, father and son, or mothers and daughters engaging in activities together. Those can be so impacting and so meaningful to the parent that when that is suddenly just disconnected, that's actually a huge loss that can present grief, actually, to either one of the parties or sometimes both. Obviously, we're not talking about necessarily children doing this on purpose, but when that sudden cessation of those activities stops, it can be very difficult for the parent.
That's Christian counselor Chris Anderson with our own Mark Webster. You can listen to this entire feature and subscribe or share Real Answers and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
In Luke 18, Jesus tells a parable about two men who went up to the temple to pray, a Pharisee and a tax collector. Hi, I'm Rob West with a Faith and Finance Minute. The Pharisee compared himself to others, cataloging his spiritual achievements, tithing, fasting, and moral behavior. The tax collector compared himself only to God, beating his chest and pleading for mercy. It's there that Jesus flips the expectations. The man who looked put together went home unchanged. The man who looked broken went home forgiven. What does that mean for our finances? It reminds us that stewardship can become a scoreboard. We can start to think that good budgeting, faithful giving, or generous plans somehow make us spiritually superior. But God isn't after perfect spreadsheets. He's after humble hearts. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, how long can you swim in the ocean? We'll tell you how 4 hours made all the difference in the world for one family. A hero story after weather.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We're tracking the Arctic Express. Oh, sure, it's cold out there tonight. The colder air is coming for the weekend. It'll begin with a squall, then wind and flurries, and frigid air will prevail as we head through the upcoming weekend. In the meantime, for tonight and tomorrow, quite cold across central and eastern Pennsylvania, partly cloudy. Mostly cloudy elsewhere with flurries and some lake effect snow with light accumulations on the south shore of Lake Ontario. Low temperatures tonight, 0 to 10 above. High temperatures tomorrow, 20s. Friday, mostly cloudy or becoming so with flurries arriving. Highs in the 20s and near 30. Again, there'll be a snow squall late Friday night. Then atrociously cold air arrives for the upcoming weekend.
You know, if Kevin puts the word atrociously in a weather forecast, you're in trouble for this weekend. Stay warm. Finally, at 5, the Appleby family, mom and 3 kids, faced an impossible situation when they were kayaking and paddleboarding off the coast of Western Australia, and a sudden shift in weather pulled all 4 9 miles out to sea. As they drifted, Mom Joanne couldn't leave the smaller kids, so she asked her oldest son, 13-year-old Austin, to swim to shore and alert authorities.
I knew he could do it. He's always had it in me.
Austin said he set out, powered by prayer.
I was thinking about all my friends at school and friends at my Christian youth I just said, not today, not today, not today. I have to keep on going.
For the first 7 miles, he was able to use his kayak and life jacket, but soon both had to go after the kayak began taking on water.
I untied the actual strap from the boat. I started swimming with just my life jacket. Then after a while, I found out that didn't work, so I took off my life jacket and I had to just swim to shore.
He ended up swimming for 4 hours in the open ocean and then had to walk more than a mile to get help.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And then finally I just made it to shore and I hit the bottom of the beach and I just collapsed.
He picked up the phone and asked for helicopters, lots of helicopters, and that's exactly what they sent. Every member of his family was found in the ocean alive. Austin's reaction?
I thought it was fake. I didn't believe it.
He says, I don't think it was me who did it. It was God the whole time. And that's the world that we live in for Wednesday, the 4th of February. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.